The Jew cannot know what God is, only that God is and what God wants. Men have perverted the name of God. And I think we really need to understand this before we can go forward. The idea of taking God's name in vain, because that is clearly the greatest perversion. I really want to touch on something I spoke about briefly in the last class, and I think we really need to understand this, why we have so many secular Jews among us nowadays, and how it's not really solely their fault, but partially ours. We who have not given them a purposeful message. That, my friends, is a form of taking God's name in vain, of perverting His precious name. And we can honestly say that, apart from radical Islam, concept of murdering in the name of God, which is truly the ultimate macro of Hillel Hashem, in the micro, we could say that this affects the Jews more than other groups. Because modern day Judaism has really dumbed down the born-again experience to such a level that most Jews walk around thinking that it's a Christian invention and not a Jewish one. That's right, Jewish one. The concept of being born again. The reawakening that occurs when someone chooses to leave their life of sin behind and begin anew. No, my friends. This didn't begin with Yashka's apostles. This goes as far back as Avraham Avinu, who picked up and left all he ever knew to follow God. And by physically crossing over the river Euphrates, his personal mikvah, did he appear as a new creation on the other side, with a new name and a new title. Ivri, one who crosses over, or born again. We invented the concept. And if what I say, my friends, doesn't sound Jewish to you, that doesn't reflect bad on me, but rather on modern day Judaism. Read the Psalms and tell me that King David, the man unto God's own heart, didn't behave like a born again, dancing and crying under conviction. You don't even have to go back so far. If you would have visited a religious synagogue in Eastern Europe on Yom Kippur or Tisha B'Av 200 years ago, you would have seen what David felt. You wouldn't have seen a guard on the door or Israelis smoking cigarettes. No, friends. You would have seen grown men weeping like babies. That's the power of God. And you don't have to be a Hassid or mystically inclined to relate to it. You just have to believe. Because ultimately, what does God, sin, and forgiveness have to do with mysticism in the first place? It's amazing how far we've come. And what's most ironic, you notice I said religious shul, which surely sounds redundant. You figure, this is just another reminder how we have to fight back against the Reform movement and put every one of those charlatans in harem. Reform Judaism, friends, a religious organization that teaches one does not have to believe in God or keep Torah to call themselves Jews. If you're just joining us right now, I'm Rabbi Asher Meza, and I'm teaching you Judaism. And today is no exception. I'm not going to water down Judaism. And friends, please don't think that I'm hard on Judaism and easy on Christianity. No, friends. I'm hard on silly Jews, and I don't water down Torah. Why does it have to be a non-Jewish thing to care about others? To feed the hungry, to clothe the naked, to care about others besides yourself? Kadosh and Tiyu, be holy as I am holy. Do you honestly think that simply because Christians act kindly, fight evil, and praise HaKodesh Baruch Hu B'simcha, we are in some way banned from doing so also? They learned it from us, from our Tanakh. Now don't get me wrong, you've chosen the right belief system. But we have to call things what they are if we're expected to grow. Judaism has a superior theology, but honestly, American Christians are the ones leading the fight against evil. And that's our job. Don't fool yourself, friends. Go on YouTube and type abortion and religion, and all you see is Christians kicking ass. Type in Judaism and abortion, and all you get is my video. Why have we become so neutral on issues, my friends? That's why I work so hard in trying to get American Christians out of the church and into the shuls. Because those ethics, they picked up from our Tanakh. And again, I teach that Judaism has a superior theology, which, if applied properly, is unstoppable. So perhaps this is a wake-up call. If you're either planning on converting or rejoining the Jewish people, that there's a lot of work to be done here, friends. And friends, let me remind you that Judaism needs you if you think you can help make this world a better place. So please consider it. And regardless, if I had to bet, I choose a convert every time. Why, my friends? Because a convert has no axe to grind. A convert is coming to this like a new baby, hungry for life-changing truth. And I'm not counting those born Jews out. If you happen to be born from a Jewish mother and you're listening to me today, despite all the silliness and rumors you've heard about Orthodoxy, you've come for the same reason as the convert. You've come for something better and not a lot of the same old junk. That being said, back to the concept of perverting God's name. I know I do a lot of encouraging for people to consider Judaism, but today I'm going to try to go the other way. If you're a jerk to others, Judaism doesn't need you. If you need people to walk on eggshells, win around you, Judaism doesn't need you. We have enough of those kind of people calling themselves Jewish already nowadays. Friends, you perhaps may know an Orthodox Jew who may be very strict on dress and on kashrut, but is very low on relating to others on his meals. That's perverting God's name, taking God's name in vain. It's ultimately better for the religion if people like that would just leave the Emunah because they give Judaism a bad name. But the blame is not solely on them. It's how they were taught. The problem is that people confuse the halachic with the moral. And friends, this is not just an Orthodox problem. Secular Jews typically also confuse the legal with the moral many times. My friends, only because something is legal or mutter does not mean it's moral. Every action that we do as Jews has to be filtered through Kedoshim Tiyu, through holiness. Because actually, halachas in themselves are typically amoral. We make them moral by mixing them with holiness. Just like the Ramban at Nachmanides stated that one can be a fool observing Yid and still be a jerk. How? Because what's halachic, again, is not always moral. For example, in a secular sense, if one declared bankruptcy, that act may be legal, but it's not moral when you don't have to pay back your debtors. No, friends. There's a line in the sand, legality and morality. That's why I don't tell people who want to learn more about Judaism and deepen their relationship with the Almighty to study Talmud. Not because there's anything wrong with studying Talmud, Chas v'Shalom. No, friends, read Tehillim, Musar, the stories in the Torah, but not halacha. Not that a Torah giant couldn't reveal ethics and morality from halacha, but we're just not there yet. That's down the road. That's the meat, and we're still on the milk.